Hi, it's Leslie Zemeckis back for another Write for Success. Today's guest is New York Times bestselling author J.T. Ellison. Her next bestseller, Her Dark Lies, is publishing tomorrow, March 9th. How is this for a logline? At the wedding of the year, a killer needs no invitation. The book takes place on an isolated private Italian island, which makes me miss Italy so much, so I dressed Italian. Claire Hunter is going to marry wealthy, slightly mysterious Jack Compton. But weird things start happening. Skeletal remains have just been found on the island. Menacing texts arrive. Her wedding dress becomes ruined. Claire begins to wonder what exactly happened to Jack's dead ex-wife. And the twists and turns of this story will keep you turning pages all the way to the end. Booklist says Ellison keeps suspense at a high level, an involving thriller well suited to its stunning setting. From Publishers Weekly, mesmerizing. Fans of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca will want to check out this compulsively readable tale. Just one interesting tidbit about the author is to research her books, she has worked with the Metro Nashville Police Department and the FBI, as well as performing autopsies and studying survivalists. Alrighty. So here is J.T. Ellison and her writing tips and tricks and how they make a difference. And she would know. Her books have been translated into over 28, I think, languages. I'll see you next week for another Write for Success. Remember, your story matters.
Hi, I'm JT Ellison, coming to you from a very rare snowy day in Nashville, Tennessee. Leslie, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about writing. I encourage all of our writer friends to go and check out your past episodes because there's some really great tidbits that can be gleaned from everything. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that tips and tricks with writing can really make a difference in your day-to-day work. One of the things that I think is the most important to remember is there are so many different ways up the mountain. When you watch this series, you'll see every single one of us has a different idea of what works, a different path for us to follow. And you need to remember that none of them are right. What's right is what works for you. One of the most important things that you can do is to find a place and find a time. Those are the most important parts of being a writer. You have to respect your time and expect everyone else to respect your time as well. And I know that's very difficult, especially for female authors who have many demands on their time. Your families need you. There's always something that needs to get done, right? There's always a reason why we can step away from the computer or the pen and do something else. So if you can set time that is going to be yours, it's going to give you the margin to do the work that you need to do. It's going to block out everything else. It doesn't take a really long time to write words. You can have an hour. I know a number of people who get up first thing in the morning, 5:30. There's a 5:30 a.m. club on Twitter, a hashtag that you can follow. You need people to support you at that time. They get up and they write an hour before they go to work. They write an hour at night before they go to bed. They write over their lunch period. They write in the school pickup lines. I mean, if you really want to write a book, you're going to find the time to do it. And the cool thing is finding that particular time that coordinates really well with your circadian rhythms, where you feel the most awake, where you feel the most comfortable. And that's different for everybody. I am not a get up at 5:30 a.m. writer at all. I am a get up at 8, have breakfast, maybe be to my desk by 10, keep shop hours. I write the best in the afternoons, and I know that. So I don't worry about getting to the page and going haywire first thing in the morning. I know that I work better in the afternoon. That is my time. And so that's what I try to do. So if you can find your time, find a space also that works for you. And that could just be you're opening a laptop. You don't have to have an office and a desk and a big, huge computer and all of, the perfect things. You can write anywhere, and you can write with a notebook. And I encourage you to learn how to write with a notebook, because 9 times out of 10, the best idea is going to come to you when you are not at your computer creating. So you need to be able to be comfortable with picking up a notebook and writing out your thoughts and sketching. You need to have a notes app on your phone, or have a way to capture those ideas so you can, I actually call myself and leave myself messages. That seems to work the best for me. I can leave whatever I need to on the voicemail. I know it's going to be there when I get to it. It's just one of those things. Everybody needs their little trick with that. Another thing I want to talk about is discipline. I've written 24 novels that have been published. I'm writing my 25th right now. I started writing in 2003 and got published for the first time in 2007. I had a very quick and relatively easy path to publication. But early on, I recognized that the only way to finish a book was to write the book. And to do that, I needed to write every single day. I needed to lay down a certain number of words to feel like I was moving forward in the story. And that's 1,000 words. I used to have a great critique group that we would meet on Wednesdays once a month. And you always had to bring 10 pages. So knowing I had to have 10 completed pages for this group really got me in the habit of being able to write that amount of work to bring with me. That instilled a habit, and habits are the way that books get finished. I mean, there's one common denominator to every successful artist, but let's talk about writing. Every successful writer, they've finished the book. And how do you finish a book? You sit down every day and you lay down words. You don't have to do it every single day, right? I like to shoot for 1,000 words a day. Do I hit that every day? No. Some days it's 4,000 words. Some days it's 500 words. But it all averages out once you start aggregating it. So that brings me to my last little bit of tip and trick, which is writer's math. I got into writing because I don't like to do math. So it's rather ironic that that's where I find my greatest help is with the writer math. But think about like this. You can write 1,000 words in an hour. If you do that every day for a year, that's 365,000 words. All of a sudden, you have 3, almost 4 novels. If you write every day, you can make that happen. So why aren't you writing every day? Why aren't you letting that accrue and build those words and get more and more onto the page? It's just simple math. Here's another fun math problem. This is something new that I've started. I'm not a fan of outlining. It takes a lot of the joy of the daily writing out of it for me. I truly, truly love those moments where I've gone on in a different direction than I had planned, and something magical has happened, and I get in a flow, and I sort of wake up, it's 2 hours later, and suddenly, oh wow, I've got 4,000 words because I got in a flow. How does that happen? It's something called 40 scenes. If you can sit down before you write a story and map out 40 scenes, all of us have those voices in our head that are giving us the work that we need, right? So if you can just sit down and write out those stories, it doesn't have to be a huge amount. It can be a line. It can be, for example, from my newest book, Olivia walking on the beach. I know that that's a scene that has to happen. I can see it in my head. It can be a snippet of dialogue. It can be a setting. It can be a climax point. You know that, Olivia and Park are going to have a fight. Okay, so I can put that down. It's very, very simple, easy, nothing concrete, just 40 scenes. If you do that and you start doing the math, A scene, 2,000 words, 40 scenes. That's 80,000 words of your novel ready before you even start. That's huge, right? That is the trick of the century, to be able to have all of that material. I'll tell you, I did this on the book that I'm writing right now. This is, like I said, this is a new thing for me. I've never tried it before. But I ended up having 48 scenes of things that I knew needed to go into the book. And then I sat down to write the book, and I've only used like 6 of the scenes. I still have all of them, and I'm almost halfway through the book in a month and a half. So it created this environment in my head where I knew everything that was going to happen, but it wasn't an outline by any means. So it wasn't A, B, C, D happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. It was not linear at all. I don't like writing in a linear fashion, but I was able to sit down and just pound out words because I had thought through all the things that were going to happen. So those are my favorite little tricks. Writer's math. If you write 1,000 words a day, you get a lot of content really, really fast. Find your time, respect your time, find your space, and try the 40 scenes. That's a really fun way to develop a story. Leslie, thanks again for having me. Good luck to all of you. Write hard.